What's up, my friends? It is Mr. Gallows, of course. And yeah, guys, I just woke up. I just woke up probably about an hour ago. Just got out of the shower and turned on the TV. And lo and behold, I found something on the news this morning that I really wanted to talk about. And that is, it's a bigger news story, obviously, like I said, I saw it on the news. And I felt, the need to come in here and talk about this because this is a more serious subject, once again, that's having to deal with the entire country, and I really have something to say about this. Most of you guys will be waking up this morning to discover that Trump has done something else crazy. Wow, surprise, surprise, right? Trump has just decided to lift all of the bans basically on military weapons and military gear in the police departments across the United States, which means that police can now once again get military-grade equipment and military-grade weapons. And this is scary. This is pretty scary because we've seen this on smaller levels before, even under the Obama administration, but then Obama kind of put all those bans on military gear in the police department. Now, a lot of you guys also know that, I'm not political. I don't hold affiliation to any party. I'm not, I wasn't a Hillary supporter, I wasn't a Trump supporter. I don't get into politics anymore because I think that it's all corrupt. And you can really see that in situations like we have today, like you have right here with Trump giving all of this military gear back to the police. Now, as someone who is in the military, this is speaking from experience. I've been around these types of guys, for 4 years of my life. I was around weapons, I was around the military, and I can tell you from experience that when you give military gear to people, it doesn't matter if you give it to the smallest, nerdiest guy in your ranks. When you give this gear to these people, all of a sudden, everybody becomes a target. And that's just how it is. It literally, when you put this gear on, it changes your mentality. It really does. All of a sudden, you have power, you have authority, and you want to use that power and authority. And that's what the police are feeling right now, is that now, we have such a distrust in this country right now for police. I mean, I've written songs about it before in the past, we have such a distrust given everything that has happened in the police department. So, Trump really thinks that the next logical step is to give military gear to police. I think that that's going to create more of a divide. Because really think about this, really think about this. If police acquire all this military equipment, how do you think that the general public is going to react to that? Right? Violence begets violence. If you act violent towards people, or you express violence, or the possibility of violence, that causes people to react. It causes people to get their own military gear and their own guns and go out in the street and fight the power. Don't you guys understand what's going on right now? What's going on right now is the government is creating a problem. They're creating a problem. They're saying that, there's all this violence on the streets and stuff like that. There's all this violence that needs to be stopped. So police have to get military-grade gear. Well, what is that going to do to the public who already thinks that there's violence and corruption going on and that already hates the police? Now the police have their military weapon. What's the public going to do? They're going to go get their own gear. They're going to go get their own stuff. And they're going to go out in the streets and fight the power and protest the police. This is a time where the police should be gearing down, not gearing up. I mean, I don't know, obviously none of us were alive in the 60s. I mean, some of you guys out there might have been, but back in the 60s, the police didn't used to be like that at all. Back in the 60s, even in times of the civil rights era and stuff like that, the civil rights protests and stuff like that, police were there to protect and serve. That's their job. The police were just the guys in uniform dropping somebody off drunk on their front porch because they couldn't get back home. The police are there to, get somebody's head out of a chair if it was stuck. You know what I'm saying? It's like they were there to protect people. If there were violent situations going on, a drunkard down the street causing problems, they were there to help with just these minor problems going on. They weren't the military. These guys aren't the National Guard. They're just there to assist people. I mean, the police have kind of completely lost touch with who they're supposed to be. And I know that a lot of you guys out there right now are saying, well, dude, it's a different world that we live in right now. It's a different world. Police do need military equipment because there is so much violence out there, they need to protect themselves. Well, guys, what you need to take into consideration is, why is there so much violence? Maybe there's so much violence because the people who are supposed to be protecting us are getting themselves into military gear. You know what I'm saying? It's like, where is the peace in this country? Like, where is the peace? Really think about this for a second. What is military gear used for? Look at this situation from a very plain, black and white, simplistic viewpoint, right? What is military gear used for? Military gear is used to combat the enemy, not civilians. We don't use military gear and military personnel against our own people. That's the black and white of the situation. There is no reason for police to be acquiring military. What is going on? Is there some kind of a civil war that's brewing that none of us know about? What are they preparing for that we don't know? Trump has really gone off the rails. Like I said, I don't hold affiliation to any political party, but Trump has gone off the freaking rails. This guy is insane. He's really insane. Like, there's a natural disaster going on right now in Texas. There are people from all over the United States who have to come to Texas. Just a massive amount of volunteers, volunteer policemen, volunteer firefighters, you name it. Why? Where's the National Guard at? Isn't the National Guard supposed to be out there helping people? Or has Trump not given the order for the National Guard to come in? I don't know. But he's not really doing a lot to help the situation down there in Texas. But what does he decide to do? Instead of sending more help to all the people in Texas, he decides to militarize the police. Like, it's like, there's something going on in this country. It almost feels like there's something going on in this country that, like, the rest of us don't know about. Like, there's something, like, going on behind the curtains, behind the shadows, that the military and the police and the president and all the people that are in the president's staff are, like, preparing for that we don't know. Because why would you militarize the police? Why would you instigate violence? Why would you display violence? Because that's all it takes. All it takes is to display violence. That causes people to be violent. Now is the time for police to be gearing down, to showing them, you know what, we're not going to be a part of this problem. We're going to go back to being the protectors and the servers that we are. We don't want military gear. We're not going to accept military gear. But you know what? The police won't do that. Because, unfortunately, in this country right now, most of the police consists of these robotic kind of, they get boners basically from carrying badges and guns around. They're right. These guys are so proud and so gun-ho and so into being police officers that they shoot people on the streets and they, throw people to the ground and start punching them and beating the crap out of them. I've always held kind of a natural distaste for police officers because, I'm not trying to make a gross generalization and saying that all police officers are bad. There are plenty of really, really good police officers out there, but unfortunately, for the most part, most police officers out there are bad people. And I'm not afraid to say that. They are. If you know a good cop out there, that's great, but it's probably the only one in the department that you know. You might live in some small town somewhere where there's only like 2 police officers. Obviously, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about towns. I'm talking about big towns, you know what I'm saying? Especially down south, where most police officers are just these very, very robotic people, very, very military-esque people. And that's what we don't need in the police force. If you are a violent type of person that is looking to gain power by carrying a badge and a gun, you are not mentally fit to be a police officer. That's not what the police are there to do. The police are there to protect and serve, not violently arrest, jail, and fine people. Okay, that's what's going on in this country, is that the idea of police, and you can see this just with the general public's opinion of police officers. The general public's opinion of police officers is we don't like police right now because they are very, very oppressive and they have the wrong idea about being police officers. And now Trump basically just poured a whole bunch of gasoline on their fire by allowing them to now attain military equipment. Now, these guys are going to have automatic machine guns, and huge tanked trucks, and body armor, and helmets, and gas masks, and all this stuff. And now what are they going to do with all this equipment? Well, now they're going to go out, and they're going to, show their power. They're going to go out there, and they're going to show their muscle right there. And what's that going to cause the American public, who already hates police and has already been instigated with violence? What are they going to do? They're going to go get their own gear and their own equipment, and next thing you know, this country is going to be in a civil war. And that's the biggest point that I'm trying to make in this entire argument, is civil war. Civil war is a very real thing. A lot of people think that, oh no, that can never happen in this country. It can happen. It can happen in a heartbeat in this country. There are plenty of people in this country that have their own weapons, that have their own kind of paramilitary forces, whatever, you want to call it. And now we have the police being militarized. To me, this is like a preparation for a civil war. They are trying to instigate violence. They want us to react to this. Why do you think, all news stories right now, right? You go and you do a search for military police Trump, and just type that in Google, and all you'll see is just story after story after story after story of them doing this stuff about the militarization of police. It's to create a reaction. What you guys need to understand is what they're trying to do is they're trying to create a reaction from you. They're trying to get, it's like the same thing when people push your buttons and they're trying to get a rise out of you. That's what they're doing right now. I'm not saying that things that we see on the news are fake. I'm saying that they are inflaming everything to try to get a reaction from us. That's exactly what's going on right now. They're saying, look at all the stuff going on. Look at all the stuff going on right now. What do we need? We need to give military gear to police. And they know that people are going to be like, no. The people are going to rise up and be like, no, that's the wrong. You don't give military gear to police. Don't do that. Don't do that. What happens is they don't listen, so we take things into our own hands, and we start going out in the street, we start protesting, the protests turn violence, the violence turns to war. That's the path that we're going down right now, and that's what we need to stop. So basically, what I want to say to you guys is, don't react. Don't react. If you guys want to, type up a piece, that something you've been thinking about for so long, and you want to blog it, go ahead and blog it. You guys want to do what I'm doing, spread your message on YouTube, this is fine. But don't go out in the streets with your own gear, with your own guns and your own batons and your own homemade flamethrowers and whatever, and go out in the streets and meet these police with violence, because that's exactly what they want. If you go out there and you throw an American flag over your shoulder and you get your automatic machine gun and you go up and you start, combating the police, that's exactly what they want you to do. Exactly what they want you to do. Don't be a sheep in this situation. Don't go out there and start violently protesting because you think that that's the only way that's going to get things done. It's not. It's time for us to start fighting with our minds, not our fists. I mean, and that's exactly what happened in North Carolina. I mean, we all remember the protests in North Carolina, right? What did the people go out there and do, right? You had those neo-Nazis going out there and protesting, making anti-Semitic remarks and being violent, right? But what did the other side do? What did the opposition do? Well, they came to the fight with their own batons and their own homemade flamethrowers and their shields and their helmets, and they came ready to fight. Why did they come ready to fight? Because the neo-Nazis had their own weapons. If now the police have their own weapons, now people will be ready to fight all the time. Now the police have military gear, well, I guess that means that we have to have military gear all the time now too. Do you see what I'm saying? That's the road that we're going down. So the best way that we can all deal with this situation, and I've said this a couple of times before, and people kind of think I'm strange for saying it, is to do nothing. Don't do anything. Don't react to anything that's going on. Don't go out in the streets and protest. Stay right here at home and protest. I mean, can you imagine how much more powerful that rally would have been in North Carolina if the protesters, right, not the neo-Nazi protester, the KKK and everybody, but the opposite side, If the opposite side had come there with no weapons whatsoever and simply sat in a huge circle around the neo-Nazis and the protesters, so much so that it blocked off traffic and people stopped going to work for the day and people can't get down the streets, and everybody just sat in this giant circle and decided not to be violent and just sat in this giant circle around the statue, all holding hands, lighting candles, singing songs, saying, "You will not, topple our beliefs. You will not oppress us." That would have been much more powerful. But no, what happened? People decided to get violent and they decided to fight each other. I'm not saying who threw the first stone. I'm saying that they decided to fight each other in violence. And when it would have been much more powerful to do nothing, to do absolutely nothing, to just sit down and silently protest. So that's all I'm saying, guys. Just use your mind. Stop protesting violently. Protest quietly. Protest from your own house, or when you go out, be peaceful. Don't be violent, be peaceful. Show them that we're not going to react to the situations that they create. All those protesters out there violently protesting in the street, those people are reacting to the problem that has been created for them. Stop reacting. Like I said, you want to type something up, you want to blog, you want to vlog like I'm doing, that's completely fine to spread a message. Or if you do want to go out there and protest, that's fine. But be peaceful. Use your mind. Don't give in to this violence. Violence begets violence. Don't give in to that stuff. Be the bigger person and decide to be peaceful about it. Use your mind. So that's what I wanted to say today, guys. It's a very, very scary morning this morning. A lot of you guys may, forget about this a couple of days from now, but when you guys start seeing police walking around your town in military gear, you're not going to forget about it. This is a very real thing that has just happened. It's a very, very scary time right now, where the police all over the United States right now are probably going crazy just ordering military gear. And that should scare you. That this is not for your protection, guys. This is not for your protection. This is a very, very scary thing that's going on right now. These police are going to be ordered to fire on you if things go wrong. It's us they're firing on. There's no enemy here in the United States. These people are getting military gear to combat you and to combat me. Think about that. Really think about that. There's no enemies here. Okay? That's why it's so scary. So just, again, if this message resonates with you, please share this with people. Make people aware about this. Spread the message about not being violent anymore. Be peaceful. Use your mind, not your fists. So make sure you guys share this video with a couple people if you feel it necessary. And I'll see you guys back for the next vlog probably later today. Until then, guys, until next we meet, please take care. Scary day, scary day. See you later.